You're watching IGN Live at Gamescom. Cygni All Guns Blazing is a brand new twin-stick shooter with stunning graphics, intense gameplay, and honestly, just a really ton of cool stuff going on for arcade shoot-'em-up fans. Here to tell me all about this gorgeous-looking game are Meher Kalenderian, co-founder and CEO of KeelWorks, and Richard Jones, development strategy manager for Konami. Hey!
Hello.
Hi. Thank you so much for coming. This game looks so cool. I'm a big old school shmup fan. When I was prepping for this interview, I remembered that Life Force is like probably my favorite NES game. It's up there. Shmups are amazing. This looks like a brand new spin on this. So tell me how this game came together, because you're adding a ton of stuff to this genre that we've never really seen before.
Sure. So we actually are a very, very small team. We started off with only 2 people developing what you see on screen, then as we got a publishing deal, we grew to still very much a small team of around 8 to 10 people, and we grew up playing shmups as well, and we wanted to do something new, what a shmup that we want to play now, and we kicked on and created something that is good in visuals and gameplay. We have original music and also sound, so just the whole experience was very important for us.
And you're building a whole story around this too.
True, yes. We come from a film and animation background, so because of our background, story was important for us, but to do it in a subtle way where we don't, of course, interrupt the gameplay. So we have a story going on through the eyes of our pilot and protagonist, Ava, and through cutscenes along the way. And of course, the levels will also tell a story.
Mm-hmm. And you're working with Konami on this, and
yes.
That's a company that's been synonymous with shmups to me since I was a kid. What's that whole cycle like?
First of all, I mean, Konami were the perfect partner because, well, not because Richard is sitting here, but also, but also a little.
I was like, that was very nice of him to say to you.
Yeah, but actually because they understand the genre very well, they also, more importantly, understand what understood also and continue to understand what we're trying to do with it. Because we're not just trying to make good old shmups again.
Right.
We're trying to do something that we want to see now, that works, and we cannot just put a coat of paint and then call it a day. Mm-hmm. So it needs a bit more than that, and we believe that this is the right way forward.
Yeah, it's really interesting that you mentioned Life Force earlier.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, one of the things that first attracted us to Cygni and to the guys at KeelWorks was the fact they are trying to reinvent the shoot 'em up, and it's part of Konami's DNA is
right.
shooters. That's where we came from. And like you, I think Nemesis was probably my first introduction to shoot 'em ups, and probably to the Konami name itself.
I actually realized that like Life Force was called Salamander.
That's Salamander in Europe and Japan. Yeah.
It's very cool. Now, tell me a little bit about the flow of this game. We obviously saw some, kind of grunt level, ground level enemies and stuff like that. You've also got mini bosses and bosses as well, right?
So, for example, in this particular level, this is the first level. We have 2 main bosses and 1 mini boss. We also have a crowd system going on. It's not just a kind of a background prop, but it has its own logic, and it plays differently depending on how many of them are alive, how many are dead. For example, in a scene where the boss is coming up, you see the crowd is kind of avoiding the leg of the boss, or other objects or obstacles are on the way. So there is a crowd system logic, so you have help on the ground. And also these tanks that we see will be able to, in future builds, because this is very much in development still, we'll be able to fire up in the air as well, so you have actual battle on the ground, but also help.
Now, we've been looking at this game for a few minutes now, and I actually haven't complimented on how great it looks when it's really gets going. Like, there's all these effects happening here, and you basically build this fireworks show out, which is really, really awesome. How important was that to you? What kind of sort of tech stuff is happening under the hood here?
A lot of challenges to start with. It's first, it's very important because of our background, as I mentioned earlier, that we wanted it to be visually very stunning, and the details were very important for us, and that's why we pulled lots of tricks from our own bags to focus on these details. Mm-hmm. For example, we have a different lighting system there going on, so our characters will always have soft shadows at all times. So, and also, a lot of technical problems. For example, this is a 3D shmup, as you can see.
Right.
So we have actual depth going on. We have for example, here you can see we have kilometers in real life terms on the ground. So how do you then shoot projectiles down and then at the same time have a few meters away air units shoot them as well? So we have also the vertical screen, which has been a challenge as well. So
This is so cool, by
Yeah,
the way.
so
This is like just. Again, like you don't see stuff like this in shmups all the time. Now, like it's not technically like bullet hell, right? That's when things
No.
get a little overwhelming. But if you can briefly tell me about difficulty a little bit, how does that kind of work in?
Yeah, so I think one of the things was, as Meher said, there is a narrative to this, and we wanted to make sure that players, that aren't superhuman players can actually play this and enjoy this and progress through, enjoy the story like you would have done, in the old days.
Yeah.
I think shmups these days have gotten very much about the bullet hell and about scores and about that sort of thing, whereas we wanted to, I guess, kind of take it back to the masses a bit and make it a bit more approachable. So there will be difficulty levels. So on an easy level, we expect people to be able to get through, see the story. Obviously, we want a challenge.
Right.
But then, if you want to crank the difficulty up, then there's going to be opportunities for score chasing and that sort of thing for the hardcore fans.
And they're the ones that gravitate to this genre, so they'll be very happy about that. Thank you both so much. Cygni All Guns Blazing looks absolutely awesome. I cannot wait to play it. Keep watching IGN Live at Gamescom for more.